What's going on there, guys? My name is Matt, or Chewy as most of you will know me as, and in today's video we are going to be taking a look at the Thrustmaster TCA Airbus throttle quadrant, putting it into action with an awesome approach into one of my favourite airports, which is Innsbruck in Austria. Today we're going to be doing the Arnav Zulu approach runway 08, which is slightly different, well, quite a bit different from the very famous circling visual approach runway 08. And I thought I'd just highlight this approach because I feel that the Arnav 08 gets a lot less love because of how awesome that great visual turn for 08 is when you're approaching from the runway 26 direction. And so today we're flying the Tollis Airbus A321neo, as you can see, and the EasyJet livery today. And I just wanted to show you guys basically how useful the TCA Quadrant is, especially when you're doing an approach which has got lots going on. It makes your workload a lot less busy, basically. And also it's really immersive to be able to use it as well. So we'll have a camera on that as well. What I'll do is I'll join you a little bit further on the path and we will brief the arrival and I'll show you exactly what we'll do, and then we'll execute the approach. So here we are in the flight deck and we're cruising at flight level 250 today, just a very short flight that I've set up just for the purposes of doing this approach. And as I say, we're going to be doing the Arnav Zulu for runway 08, which isn't quite as sporty as the visual, but is really great fun. So we're going to be arriving by the Madeb 1 Alpha arrival today, or 1 Bravo I think actually, via Madeb above 13,000 feet to Elmem above 13,000 feet, which then transitions us onto the approach, and it's asking us to be Elmem at 13,000 here, also the same altitude restriction at Whiskey India 750, before descending on a 3.6 degree path all the way down on the approach. We've got Whiskey India 751 where we need to be a maximum of 175 knots, and you can see that this approach is really cool because, as you'll hopefully be able to notice, we've got terrain surrounding us on all sides. It's quite a risky approach, it's quite a risky airport just in its nature, Innsbruck, which makes it even more good fun. And so we simply follow the valley round via the various waypoints here and approach, turning onto final with just a few moments to go for runway 08. What also makes Innsbruck so interesting is that it's a very short runway, only 2,000 meters in total. We're in an A321neo today, and so it's going to be interesting to see how we do in terms of stopping distance and everything. I've got the approach set up into the CDU, and if you have a look on the navigation display now, you'll be able to see that all of that's programmed there with those altitude restrictions. We've also got on the approach page our information, so we've got the local QNH, the temperature, the winds, and we've also selected that we're going to be doing a config full landing today, and I've also selected that we'll use auto brakes medium just because of that short runway length will ensure that we've got plenty of room to get off at Bravo and hopefully not have to backtrack round at the end of runway 26. EasyJet also have some very interesting operations in this airport when they're using the CFM engines. In fact, in the descent phase at flight level 200, they begin to put the APU on, and they must be on the APU bleeds by flight level 150. They've also got some other things in place where they'll ask the pilots to be with gear down, and I believe flap 3 at flight level 130 or 13,000 feet, which is obviously usually ridiculously high, but one of the reasons for this is to ensure that with that 3.6 degree path that we've got during the descent, especially with all the terrain around us, it ensures that we're not having to worry too much about bringing our speed down. There's a lot going on during an approach like this, and so it just basically negates any worry about bringing your speed back. We'll see if I can do that on the video today. Who knows with my flying. There's certainly a chance that we're going to be using a bit of what I like to call the Geneva lever or the speed brake, just to make sure that we can control any speed. But for now, what we'll do is we'll join back onto the flight a little bit later on once we've started our descent, and we'll go through that process of starting up the APU and ensuring that our gear and flaps are down nice and early before we start that 3.6 degree descent for approach, and I'll have a camera on the TCA throttle quadrant so that you can see all of the actions that I'm doing. So I'll see you then. Okay, so as you can see, we are 16 nautical miles away from Madeb now. I'm actually going to put the seatbelt signs on, ready for landing, and I've also started the APU. I'm not too sure if EasyJet in their A321 Neos with the different engine types, obviously, than they're just their normal A319s or A320s, actually need to do this whole procedure with the APU on, but it's something that they do in their normal Airbus fleet, not the Neos, and so it's what we'll do here. So we'll put the APU bleed on as well, and I actually think I'm going to start to slow down soon. We've still got 56 nautical miles to go, it's saying, until we actually do reach Innsbruck, so we've still got a little while to go, but I'm going to start to think about slowing down simply for the fact that we know that at Elmem we need to be gear down and flap 3 ready for the approach. So what I'm going to do here, I know it might seem extremely early, and it might actually be extremely early, is I'm actually going to click approach mode now and just see if we can start to get this aircraft slowed down a little bit. As you can see on the screen now, I just turned on the screen so you can see the camera for the TCA Quadrant, and I'm going to use a little bit of speed brake here just to see if we can bring our speed back. We've still got quite a way to go, but we've only got 20 miles until we reach Elmem, and we're definitely going to want to be a lot slower there than we are now. So let's see if we can add some of that Geneva lever and get that speed starting to come back towards where we want it to go. I'm more than happy to be flying this approach slow rather than fast, that's for sure. And I'm not claiming to be a professional or anything, you know, on that manner in this. I might not be flying the approach completely correct to how EasyJet would do it or anything like that. Don't take this as a tutorial in any sort of degree. I just want to show you how useful this TCA Quadrant is, because it's got everything that I need to operate this Airbus on. And it just makes my life a lot easier. It really does. I have to say, whenever I do this approach into Innsbruck, it always just looks so ominous. Like, these mountains just seem ridiculously close, and it's like, how in the world are we going to find an airport down there? But you do. I think we're starting to look good on the speed, though. We're still over the limit to have flap 1 come out. That's at about 240 knots. You'll be able to see those 2 orange lines there on the speed tape. And we're actually drifting a little bit low now, so you'll also see the aircraft start to pitch up just to ensure that we're not going to be getting too low. And because the aircraft is virtually leveling out here, just to ensure that we're okay with the altitude, that will start to bring our speed back in itself. So we'll retract those speed brakes now as it keeps up with that path. That's great, though. I'm actually happy that it's descended a little bit early on the path. We've still got 10 miles exactly until we reach the waypoint Elmem. And we've only got 700 feet to go, and so this just gives me a really great opportunity here, as I say, just to bring back that speed nice and early. I'd rather be a little bit slow on this approach, just to give myself a bit more time to plan everything through and make sure that everything is as it should be. We're now safely in the range for flap 1, so again, I know it's very early indeed, but we are going to accept flap 1 now. Let's go to a nice engine view, shall we, so you can see the slats retracting on the front of the wings there. A couple of different views. And that will once again start to bring our speed back now even slower through another set of orange bars and towards S speed. And once we're below those orange bars, we can safely select flap 2, which we'll do. Now, what we could do is we could arm the approach mode. And so we've got approach navigation. The other way that we could do things is after we reach the waypoint Whiskey India 750, we could go into flight path angle mode and set it to 3.6 degrees to follow that profile that we spoke about a little bit earlier on. Okay, let's select flap 2 now with 4 miles to go for Elmem. And it's looking really great on that vertical deviation with the profile, and we're starting to see our way through the valley there. You can see the kind of area that we're going to be performing this approach on. Really great fun, really great fun. Okay, flap 2's in now, and we're through the orange bars on there, so I'm actually going to take gear down at this point with 2 miles to run before we reach Elmem. This is going to look so weird for people. They're going to be wondering, why is he putting the gear down so early? But as I say, it just ensures that we're not chasing the speed at any point during the approach. I think we'll keep 180 knots in for the moment. Actually, no, let's keep 170 knots in for the moment, just because we're virtually there with the speed tape. And we'll accept flap 3 now at this point as well. Okay, brilliant. I want to do nice outside views. There we go. Sorry, that was my fault that we weren't in the flap 3. I hadn't quite put it in the D10. Right, so we're exactly where we wanted to be. We are 2.7 miles away from starting the approach, and we're gear down, flap 3 with the APU on the bleeds. The seatbelt signs are on. What I'm also going to do now is set the QNH, which is 1024, because I forgot to do that earlier on. So 1024 is set as well. What we'll also do is we'll reset our altitude down. I think we'll go all the way down to the go-around altitude, 2,900 for the moment, and just make sure that that's set in place. And you can see that we've got the 13,000 feet altitude restriction there in magenta. As I say, at this point, if we really wanted to, we could also go into flight path angle with 3.6 degrees, but we'll let the aircraft do its thing and see how it handles it. There we go. Final approach has been activated now. We can see on the FMA, and we've got speed indicated as well. So hopefully we'll see how the Tollis handles it. So far, all that you've seen me use is the speed brake lever. We've got the throttles in the climb detent where they remain for most of the flight. And as we've already got the flap lever here, which needs to come one more position down to the full position. What I've actually forgotten to do, which I always forget to do, is I press the G key instead of using the gear handle on the throttle quadrant. I'm not even going to re-record this video because I made that mistake, because I do it so much. And I think it's actually a really good point to make to you all that even with this lovely bit of hardware, there are times where as a flight simmer, you spend so much time, or have spent so many years not being able to have hardware like the TCA Quadrant where you can put the gear handle down physically, that it is just an automatic reaction to press the G key on your keyboard. So let that be a lesson to you all. You know, it's so nice to finally have all of this lovely bit of hardware to use, and I just keep still forgetting to use the flap lever there because it's just programmed in me to press the G key. I know it sounds ridiculous, but there we are. There we are. Right, so we've still got a while to go on this approach. It's saying that we're going to be landing in about 9 minutes or so, and we've not really got too much to do with the TCA throttle quadrant, so I'll just take that away from the screen for a moment, and then I'll move it back on once we do some more things, which will be to select the next layer of flaps, and that's all we need to do before we take control of the aircraft ready for landing. Let's go and have a look at some views, shall we? We're doing this as a little bit of a live commentary today. All of my videos so far for Thrustmaster have been pre-recorded videos where I've written a script and done a lot of what we call B-roll footage, but today is all recorded live, so any mistakes that I make, I'm not going to try and edit out or anything like that. Okay, we're looking really good at the moment. Let's go and put the landing lights on through 10,000 feet. We've still got a little while to go. It's saying that we've still got 21 miles to go in terms of distance, but as you can see, our rate of descent is at about 1,200, 1,300 feet per minute. And even though we probably could have taken the gear down later and extended the flaps during this 3.6 degree descent path, by putting the gear and everything down so early before we cross through 13,000 feet, it just ensures that we're not going to have any issues with trying to bring our speed back along the route. And it also means that we've got some time just to enjoy these stunning, stunning views. Doesn't matter what way you approach Innsbruck, you're always going to have some absolutely stunning views. And as I talked about a little bit earlier on, it's kind of a little bit of a shame that the circling 08 approach into Innsbruck takes some of the all of the fame from this airport, because there are some other really lovely approaches to it, this being one of them as well, as I've already mentioned. The go-around altitude today for us is 9,500, so I'm going to be able to safely set that in there because we've now got a final approach on the FMA, so we'll go and set 9,500 in. There we go, if we do need to go around. And we've got 4.8 miles until Whiskey India 751, where we need to be max 175 knots as well. QNH is set in. It says 1024 and it's flashing there. We'll just go and check on Active Sky to make sure it's correct, which it is 1024. I think the reason why it's flashing actually is because I've put the transition level, it's only set at 50 there. So if if I put that at 80, there we go. That will stop that from flashing at me now. I mean, look at this. So the airport's located just round the corner here. You can see this is the famous area where that circling 08 approach happens. Just over to the right of the airport. In the distance there if I zoom in. So the airport just to the left of the lake, and then over to the right there, that's where that circling 08 happens. Absolutely beautiful. Scenery wise, we're using Orbex today. It's the amazing Orbex Innsbruck scenery, one of my absolute favourites. Here we go, we're picking up a bit of turbulence now off the terrain. Definitely picking up a bit of turbulence off the terrain. I don't think I'd want to be sat in the back as a passenger here. What am I kidding? I'd love to be sat as a passenger in the back here. An experience of a lifetime, no doubt. I can't wait for all the comments from people laughing at me because I forgot to use the gear lever. I said to myself before I start recording, Chewy, don't forget the gear lever. What did I do? Forget the gear lever. But hopefully it's a lesson to you all not to follow suit. Right. Let's go and pull up the video once again of the TCA Quadrant, because it won't be too long before we accept full flaps now, because we're going to be flying this final stage of the approach. What we'll do is we'll take the autopilot out nice and early so that we can fly the full approach without, well, not the full approach with autopilot in, basically. We've still got about 11 miles to run before landing, so we've still got a little way to go. But we're really starting to get to the crunch time now. Get your predictions in the comment section about whether you think I'm going to stuff the landing up after this approach. I certainly hope not. Just absolutely beautiful views. I wonder who thought it would be a good idea to place an airport here, eh? Right, what I think we'll do now is we'll go and select Manage Speed Mode, which will bring us back to our final approach speed, and then we'll go and select Flap Full. There we go, that's it. Doesn't really do too much selecting Flap Full there, but now we're almost ready to go. We'll go and arm the speed brakes. Unfortunately, you can't arm the speed brakes on the TCA throttle quadrant, but you can see that the ground spoilers are now armed on there. We've got flaps full as well. We've got the go-around altitude set. We'll go and put all the rest of the lights on, and as we've already established, that APU is on. So actually, we're fully ready to take over control of the aircraft here. What I will do is I will wait until we're a little bit further visual with the airport, which we can see just starting to appear around the corner. There it is. There is the beautiful LOWI Innsbruck. And then we'll take over manual control. Okay, hands on the throttle quadrant, ready to go. Of course, we've got the levers on the front to pull us back into the reverse range today, and so you'll see me do that. I won't take out the auto thrust for landing. The 2,500 foot call in, so I think now is a good time to take out the autopilot. We'll remove the master warning, and I'll just keep visual. I haven't got track IR or anything connected, and we'll need to keep moving the view forward if I lose the runway. Flight directors can come off as well. We've got the vertical and lateral deviation on the PFD if we need it, just to keep an eye on things. And we can see things nicely in the navigation display as well. Holding this heading for now. Getting a little bit high on the approach as I'm not concentrating. Speed's looking exactly where we want it to be. Let's not dip the nose too far there. Okay, we're going to be thinking about making that turn now. You want to predict the turn early, and the wind looks like it's coming in from the left, although it is variable at the moment. Still dropping a little bit high on the approach, so let's keep that descent rate going, and let's start to very gently make that turn. Nowhere near as dramatic as what you would see when doing the circling visual approach, but just as fun. Can't quite see the runway yet, which is very ominous. I'm really not doing a very good job with that vertical profile. There we go. I can see a PAPI light out the window now. And we'll just slowly bring the nose round. There we go. That's looking a little bit better. We'll keep that rate of descent going. Checked. We are stable. Okay. Let's bring ourselves round. That wind has now swung on the right hand side 120 degrees at 5 knots. So we'll just be cautious of that because that can certainly swing back. There we go, 2 white, 2 red on final. Everything looking fine and dandy. No dramas whatsoever, hey? Now for the fun part. Let's see how we do with the landing. Oh, there's a train going below us. Stop being distracted, Chewie, by trains. Land the plane. There you go, that wind swung around again. Look at it. You can see it on the top left of the ND. It's swinging all over the place. A little bit high, so we'll correct our vertical profile once again. Nothing to worry about.
300.
Wow, it is swinging. Welcome to Innsbruck, I guess.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. Retard. 10.
In the touchdown zone in the centre. And there we go. We'll bring the throttles back now and activate reverse. We've got spoilers. Reversers are green. And we have decel. We'll go manual brakes and through 60 knots. I love that sound. Clang. As we move the throttles back to the idle D10. And there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Innsbruck. Beautiful. As we hope to do, we'll be able to vacate right here on Bravo. No backtracking for us. And the great thing about having the APU on during the approach is because it's such a short taxi, it means that we don't have to turn it on now. So we'll take away the landing lights and the strobe lights as well. And then we will bring the flaps up. And we'll just move the spoiler lever backwards and then forwards again just to make sure that they're back in their stowed position. And there we have it, everybody. There we have it. Make sure the transponder's off so we don't have to worry about that anymore. And I'll also show you the shutdown sequence. There she is. Hot brakes by the looks of things. It looks like it's almost smoking. Hopefully it's not too hot. Oh, it's 330. Getting there, getting there. Okay, right. Taxi light off, then we'll go and park on this stand here, shall we? Beautiful. I think that will do the job for us. Okay, so make sure the parking brake is set. Sorry, that was in the wrong position there. So parking brake is set down the bottom. As you can see, that links up nicely with the tow list. And we've already got the APU on the bleeds. And so we'll simply select engine number 1 off and engine number 2 off. And you can see that that's also correctly activated on there like so. We can bring the beacon light off and the seatbelt sign off, and that's all we really need to do for this exact moment. So there we are. Ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the video. Welcome to Innsbruck. What I'll do now is I'll leave you with a replay of the landing from another point of view. Thank you very much indeed for watching, and thank you very much to Thrustmaster for providing their awesome TCA throttle quadrant. I absolutely love using it with the Airbus. It adds so much more immersion, ease of use, even when you forget to use the gear lever on landing. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope to see you in next month's Thrustmaster video. Let me know if there's any particular products you'd like to see me try. I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.